Welcome students. Today we will start with NCERT Class 11 Economics Part A Chapter 4 Elasticity of Demand.
So, first we will know the meaning of price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand implies the degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of a good to change in its price, while the other factors influencing quantity demanded of the good remain unchanged. Price elasticity of demand may be defined as the ratio of percentage change in quantity demanded of a good to a given percentage change in its price. Next, degrees or types of price elasticity of demand. Price elasticity of demand differs from commodity to commodity and also from individual to individual. Price elasticity of demand is of 5 types: inelastic demand, elastic demand, unitary elastic demand, perfectly inelastic demand, and perfectly elastic demand. Number 1, that is inelastic demand. When percentage change in demand is less than percentage change in price, demand is said to be relatively inelastic. So you see here in the diagram, OX axis measure quantity demanded and OY axis measure price. When price is OP, quantity demanded is OQ. When price falls to OP1, quantity demanded increases to OQ1. Here, change in price PP1 is greater than change in demand QQ1. DD is the demand curve which shows elasticity less than 1. Next, point number 2 is elastic demand. Demand is said to be elastic when the percentage change in demand is more than percentage change in price. Here, in the diagram, OX axis measure quantity demanded and OY axis measure price. When price is OP, quantity demanded is OQ. When price falls to OP1, quantity demanded increases to OQ1. Here, change in QQ1 is greater than change in PQ1. DD is the demand curve which shows elasticity greater than 1. Next, point number 3 is unitary elastic demand. When the percentage change in demand is equal to the percentage change in price of the commodity, then demand is said to have unitary elasticity. Here, change in OQ1 is equal to change in PQ1. DD is the demand curve which shows elasticity equal to 1. Next, point number 4 is perfectly inelastic demand. Demand is perfectly inelastic when change in price does not lead to change in quantity demand. Here, in this diagram, the price of the commodity declines from P to P1 or rises from P to P2, but the quantity demanded remains the same as before, that is OQ. Elasticity of demand at all points along this vertical demand curve is O. Point number 5, that is perfectly elastic demand. Demand is perfectly elastic when change in quantity demand does not lead to change in price. You see here in the diagram, OX axis measure quantity demanded and OY axis measure price. When the quantity demanded rises from Q to Q2 or decline from Q to Q1, but the price remains the same, which shows elasticity is equal to infinity. Next, methods of measuring price elasticity of demand. There are 3 popular methods of measuring price elasticity of demand. They are percentage method, total expenditure method, geometrical method. So number 1 is percentage method. According to percentage method, Price elasticity of demand is measured by taking ratio of percentage change in demand and the percentage change in price. This has been shown by the following formula. Next, point number 2 is total expenditure method. It is defined as the product of price of commodity and number of unit purchase of the commodity. In short, TE equal to P into Q, where TE is the total expenditure, P is the price, Q is the quantity. Next, geometric method. According to this method, elasticity of demand on any point on a straight line demand curve is measured by dividing the lower segment of the demand curve by the upper segment of the demand curve. Next, factors determining price elasticity for a good. Price elasticity depends on the following factors: availability of close substitute, nature of the commodity, proportion of total expenditure, habits, number of uses, income of the purchaser, postponement of consumptions, period of time, and joint demand. So number 1 is availability of close substitute. For example, demand for cold drinks, example Coke, Pepsi, etc. is highly elastic because of availability of close substitute. On the other hand, demand for electricity, salt is inelastic because they have no close substitutes in the market. Point number 2 is nature of the commodity. Elasticity of demand for a commodity is the nature of the commodity itself. For example, in our country, the demand for rice, salt, etc. are relatively inelastic. The demand for luxury items are on the other hand elastic. When the price of air conditioner increases, some people may not purchase air conditioner. The demand will fall sharply. The elasticity of demand will thereby be high. Point number 3 is proportion of total expenditure. If the amount spent on a commodity constitutes a very small portion of the total expenditure on all goods and service, then the price elasticity is likely to be small. Point number 4 is habits. For example, if a person has developed the habit of smoking, he may not be able to reduce his consumptions of cigarettes even when the price of cigarettes goes up. This demand for cigarettes will be inelastic. Point number 5 is number of uses. For example, coal can be used for cooking, heating, etc. When the price of coal rises, the consumers can cut down some of the uses of coal, restricting themselves to the more urgent use only. On the other hand, if its price falls, it will be demanded more for every purpose. The demand for coal will therefore be elastic. Point number 6 is income of the purchaser. The elasticity of demand is also influenced by the income of the consumers. If the consumer is rich, he will not bother much by small changes in price. On the other hand, a poor consumer will give importance even to small changes in price. This demand therefore will be price elastic. Point number 7 is postponement of consumptions. For example, when the price of cement rises, people can postpone their plans for house building for this reason. Thus, the demand for cement is relatively elastic. Point number 8 is period of time. If the price of a product rises, consumers will reach the cheaper substitutes. The longer period they have, the more likely they are to find the one. Demand will therefore more price elastic in the long run. So the last point is point number 9, that is joint demand. For example, if demand for car is inelastic, the demand for petrol will also be inelastic. Likewise, price elasticity of demand for socks depends directly on the elasticity of demand for shoes. So students, with this, chapter 4 ends. Thank you.